Do we think that Erik Karlsson put a curse on the San Jose Sharks before he left? Looking like it. Welcome back, Mother Puckers. This is the Pucked Up Podcast. I'm your host, D-Bag. I am joined by the ever-beautiful Danger Water and the always glorious Chris, or Finn, whatever you want to call him. All things work here. Yeah, it has been a minute since we last saw you. Sorry that
Yeah.
we didn't have an episode last week. Shit was shitting,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Shit
is
was
how
shitting.
things
Yeah.
Life
happen.
does life sometimes.
Life does life.
It does.
Something
on
along the
occasion.
lines.
And when life does
Yeah.
life to two or more of the members of the podcast, we just
At the
cancel
same time,
it.
yeah. We were
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
When
You
life
know
just
what?
breaks us all in the same day.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, at least we were all in it together, and it wasn't.
We were. You know, if there's
know.
one thing at LTN Media that we do is we struggle together.
Yeah.
We do. We
High
struggle
School
to
Musical
sit
up in
together.
this bitch.
I was
We
just
do
gonna
High School, yeah.
start singing. We're all in this together.
We can't though, because the mouse will come for us.
Yeah, the mouse
Don't
will
fuck.
absolutely
Don't
come
fuck with
us.
the mouse. They have scopes.
Yeah. Luckily, Danger wasn't quite on melody, so
Yeah.
we
No.
had to
you're good.
pretend that it was
I'm
something
never
else.
on melody. I'm never on melody. Plus,
That's
I
not
think I
true.
said the words wrong. So.
Nah, you're fine.
Either way, all good. Well, we
But
did
yeah.
have some things that we absolutely wanted to cover that happened while we were gone because they're like low key massive stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first of which being Shane Pinto's 41 game suspension.
Yeah.
So for those of you who didn't
Yeah.
follow it, Shane Pinto of the Ottawa Senators was suspended for 41 games at the end of October. He's a 22-year-old, and he is the first modern-day hockey player to be banned for sports gambling. The league said that that's almost half of a full season.
Yeah.
That the activities related to the ban were for sports wagering. Though they did say that its investigation found no evidence of Pinto betting on NHL games, which I think is interesting. They did not release any other details about what he did or how he was caught.
Yeah.
Pinto did release an apology saying, "I want to apologize to the National Hockey League, the Ottawa Senators, my teammates, the fans, and the city of Ottawa, and most important, my family. I take full responsibility for my actions and look forward to getting back on ice with my team." He did say that he is not going to appeal the suspension as part of an agreement among the league player and the NHLPA. So that means that
He done
whatever
did
it
it.
was bad enough that he was probably looking at more, and he was like, "How about I don't do anything and I take my 41 games?" And they were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
And just to touch on it now, because I happened to look at it, he was a restricted free agent at the beginning of the season. So
Okay.
no salary is forfeited from him because it was retroactively started with Ottawa's first game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because he wasn't under contract. So that almost makes me wonder if they knew something was going on.
Well, so the Ottawa's response shed some light on some other things that maybe contributed to
I
it.
haven't heard much of it, yeah.
Yeah, Ottawa said, "Shane is a valued member of our hockey club, an engaging, intelligent young man who made poor decisions that have resulted in a suspension by the NHL. We know he is remorseful for his mistakes. The Ottawa Senators fully support the NHL's rules on gambling. While saddened to learn of this issue, the entire organization remains committed to Shane and will work together to do what is necessary to help provide the support to allow him to address his issues and become a strong contributor to our community." So there's been some speculation that it is partially to do with a mental health issue with gambling addiction, maybe,
Okay.
Right.
that caused this.
Yeah.
However, if it is the case that he has a gambling addiction, I don't know if the NHL taking the tack of suspending him from 41 games is really the most helpful or the
Right.
most progressive
So
in that arena.
that's my thing on this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
The NHL has now joined the MLB and the NFL in suspending a player for gambling. You know the only
Right.
difference here? There is no information as to what happened except for there was no. It's known that it
not on
wasn't
NHL
on
teams.
hockey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't hockey.
Here's my thing then. What is the point of this? What is the ruling in the NHL and the NHL Players Association what is the rule that has been agreed upon that states that is like cause for the suspension?
Well, not just a
Because
suspension,
in
but
the
a
U.S.,
suspension that's severe.
right, and in the
Yeah.
U.S., most, if not all states, sports betting is legal. I don't
Well,
know
not
about
only that,
Canada. I'm
he
pretty
had to
sure.
wear a patch for promoting Bet99, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Like,
Promoting
Yeah.
sports betting, he was wearing shit on his uniform,
Yeah.
there
game
is
in and
so
game out.
much. There's so
So
much about
it's
this that doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah,
I want to get behind the league and saying, "Hey, I'm glad you drew a line in the sand," but what was he betting on? What, like,
that is the
what
biggest
what is
question, and I don't think
what
we'll
is
ever know.
triggering this? And for him to
So
just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take it,"
right.
like, that's all I want to know is what is causing this, because this is so out of left.
So it wasn't the release. The statement said that he didn't bet on NHL games, which to me does not exclude hockey games. So maybe he was betting on
Right.
AHL or ECHL games.
Okay.
At which
Yeah.
point, I guess their theory would be that he was betting on it because he had insider information as
Maybe.
a player for that team previously or whatever. Maybe
Okay.
it was felt that he had some. I think that's again to me why there's something more to this because
There
for
has to
him to
be,
just be like, I'm
because
taking my 41 and I'm going to sit down and that's going to be
this
fine.
doesn't make sense
It doesn't
from
make
the
sense if
Yeah.
it's
outside.
just him betting on, let's say he bet on a Denver Broncos game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? On an NFL game. Why should that matter? Because
Right.
Right.
other clubs, I don't think suspend for you betting on sports outside of your area of control. Because obviously, I don't think the NFL cares if you're betting on NBA games. You're not an NBA player.
Yeah.
Right.
You have
So
no like tie in there.
I just found an article on ESPN. Now, granted, it is from, I think, June of this year, so it might be a little out of date. But for NHL, it says the collective bargaining agreement states gambling on any NHL game is prohibited, that rule is posted in every dressing room around the league. The
Mhm.
NHL Constitution, a document that details everything from club ownership to rules to the powers of the commissioner, conveys similar information. Player and those working for a team or the league are allowed to bet on non-NHL events. It applies to all players working for the team in the league. Where is sports gambling allowed? It says the NHL has no formal policy on where sports wagering is allowed. If there are any restrictions, they would be administered on a team-by-team basis. The
So
only
that's
specific
interesting.
gambling prohibition is betting on NHL games. They're allowed to wager on any sport outside of the NHL,
So I
including March
wonder
Madness, Super Bowl. Yeah.
I
So,
wonder if it's something similar to what the NFL has where I know you cannot place a bet on NFL grounds. So you can't place a bet in your
oh,
training
maybe.
camp. You can't place
Yeah.
a
Okay.
in
Maybe
your
that's what
your
it was
building.
then.
Because I know Travis Kelce said something about that recently where he had a friendly wager with somebody and that's why something happened. He wore some crazy outfit, whatever. And so they had to clarify that was a bet that was made in our own time off of
Yeah.
facilities.
Right.
So I'm wondering if it's that, if maybe Shane, again, because they linked in this mental health concern
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
if
Like,
maybe he was gambling during intermissions of games but again, that to me seems like he needs to be put in a player assistance program and not
yeah.
banned
Right.
for 41 games. That
Oh
seems
yeah.
insane
Right.
for a response.
Yeah,
No,
that's
Yeah.
just very interesting.
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where it's not clear, and I feel
Yeah.
like we
Yeah.
missing that important piece, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is hard to draw a full conclusion, but with the
Yeah.
facts that we have now, I am confused and concerned as to why a player would get 41 games for gambling not on a NHL hockey game.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
Right.
for sure. That's where
and
I'm
if it
like,
were something like he were throwing games, that would be a different thing altogether, and they would have mentioned that. So
Yeah. And he's only
it's just very
22.
strange. He's only 22.
yeah.
He's still very young. So
I
wish
wonder
him
if
the
it's
best.
almost yeah. I mean, maybe it was something to do with age-wise if he did it because don't you have to be at least 21 to play I don't bet on
Yeah.
sports, but
Mhm.
at least in Vegas, I think you have to at least be 21. So
It's
maybe
a
he was doing
universal thing,
something
yeah.
before he turned 21.
Maybe,
something.
but
I don't know.
Yeah.
it would be interesting for the league to crack down on that and
Yeah.
ban a player for 41 games and to not have done anything about the situation in Chicago so many years ago,
Yeah.
other than a fine, which they made up, I mean, in ticket sales from one night of
Right.
their
Yeah.
cup
No,
series. So it seems weirdly disproportional to some of the other things that we've seen
Right.
as
mm,
punishments, especially
Absolutely.
when we don't have the details of what happened and why. It seems
yeah.
like a
Right.
massive ban to lay on someone for betting on non-NHL games. But, like, that's the only context we have, and that's insane.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't add up. And like
Yes.
it is
Yeah.
what it is, but I have so many questions about why this is a suspension,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad he seems to be taking it in stride from his press release and from the press release of the Suns. It sounds like they are also there to help him figure out what went wrong, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean
Yeah.
that's
So
good
grateful
though.
for that, but still very strange. Very, very strange all around. Um, well, that brings us to our next topic, which is just sort of like a check-in with the league since we were away last week. So, Chris, can you let us know where we're
Oh,
at?
really quick before I do that, if anyone hasn't heard the news that dropped today as of time of recording, the Edmonton Oilers have released goaltender Jack Campbell. Well, not really
Yeah.
released him, but they put him on waivers. I assume that means they're sending him down.
Mhm.
Um, he is 1-4 in his 5 starts, and he's got a goals against average of 4.5. He is in his second year of a 5-year, $25 million contract. Um, they picked him up last off season from Toronto. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of problems going on in Edmonton. And that actually
Yeah.
does tie in perfectly to talking about the standings. The Edmonton Oilers in their first 11 games this season, 2-8-1
That sucks.
for a team that was a very big threat to win the cup last year.
Yeah.
You know, you had 4 players score 100. Where are they right now? In the bottom.
Right.
Your league leaders. Top 10 teams. The Vegas Golden Knights lead the league yet again. They are 11-1-1. The Bruins are second. They are 10-1-1. Vancouver Canucks coming out of nowhere with a rock.
I
9-2-1.
know.
Um,
Surprising.
the New York Rangers are fourth in the top in the league right now overall, 8-2-1, and number 5 in the league is
I have them as
LA
9, 2, and
Kings.
1. I think that they just won a game
Yeah,
tonight.
so here that. Let me see if we refresh it, see if it'll update.
Yeah.
They are 9-2-1. Yep. And the LA Kings are 5th in the league with a record of 7-2-2. Your bottom 5
Oh, it's ugly.
are the Ottawa Senators, who are
Mhm.
4-6, the Chicago Blackhawks, who are 7, the Calgary Flames, who are 7-1. The Edmonton Oilers are 2-8-1, and your bottom team in the league is the San Jose Sharks. They are 0-10-1.
And their differential is -43.
It's not.
Jeez.
Fun fact for
Yeah.
those that don't know, the Hughes brothers, they have they have double
They have
the amount
double.
of combined points this season than the entirety of the roster of the
Of
San
the
Jose
Sharks.
Sharks.
Yeah. I saw
Um,
that statistic as well, and I was like, "That is insane."
Other teams that are notable with a hot start, obviously, the fucking Canucks coming out of nowhere. Another team with a very surprising start is the Anaheim Ducks. They're on a 5-game winning streak. They're
Yeah.
7-4 to start the year. They handed collectively the Vegas Golden Knights and the Bruins their first losses of. Um, I don't know what the hell they put in the water in Anaheim, but it's working.
Yeah.
Also, the Detroit Red Wings, 7-5-1. This is a way better start than last season. The addition of Alex DeBrincat has, I think, helped that team a lot.
Mhm.
They made moves in the offseason, which I think
They did.
is good.
On a
he
positive note for me, the Caps are ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins in standings right now,
well,
so
I was just gonna
that's
say a
always a good day.
surprisingly rough start is the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've started the
Yeah,
season 4-6.
yeah, they had a
Um,
rough start. I mean, so did we,
it's
I can't really talk shit, but
it's surprising with all of the additions from the off season. I think
but
we were
again,
talking before. I think it's my dad who's a Penguins fan. He said they have all of this firepower, but there's no chemistry.
and
Like
so
the line, they
Yeah.
haven't figured out a way to work out the lines. And
I think for me, it is related to that, but it's the fact that they lost their captain, and I think leadership is so important in
the
any
Penguins,
organization. No, they didn't lose their
you
captain.
no,
I'm confusing
you're
them with
thinking
the
of the
Bruins.
Bruins again, yeah, because they have the same
Yeah,
colors.
yeah, I don't know why I keep doing that.
I was gonna say, no, dude,
No,
Crosby
because,
isn't going
yeah,
anywhere.
Crosby is their captain.
Crosby's not going anywhere for a little bit.
Yeah, and we'll get more notice. I do feel really bad, though, for the Bruins just losing their captain out of nowhere. That's tough, and good for them for being able to stay
Well, I mean,
up there in the
everyone knew
rankings.
she was gonna retire. Like, it wasn't a
Yeah.
surprise.
I don't think it I think it was because I hadn't seen as much about
Oh, yeah,
who
and
they were.
it was everywhere. Like, everyone knew if they didn't win the cup, he was gonna probably go.
I know it was like a topic of conversation, but for the year leading up to it, I didn't see a whole lot of like, okay, this is who's taking over for him, though. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, I think it was widely expected in the off season that it was gonna be Brad Marchand.
Yeah,
Um, I
which
expected
is a
Pastrnak,
choice.
but Marchand, it makes sense. Marchand is the most
The
tenured
more
member
veteran.
so far
Yeah.
now. He's been in the league a long time. It fits the like the personality of Boston, gritty, in your face, but no,
Right.
like in
Asshole.
yeah, I don't want to say that. That's not. I
Listen, we
live in
call
New
people from
England, you
From
guys.
Massachusetts massholes,
Oh
so
yes, we do. Yeah, as to
yeah.
say, as someone who lives in New England, I don't want to get fucking stabbed by Bruins fans. Um,
Fair, fair, fair.
Fair.
but
But no, it is
yeah,
surprising how poorly Pittsburgh is doing. I mean, they did have a bunch of shakeups. They have a new GM and all that. I don't know how much that is really accounting for it because they should be pretty rock steady. But I mean, they're
they had a
400 in the
whole
season
front
so far.
office shakeup. Everyone
Yeah,
got cleaned out,
right.
including some of the coaching.
Mhm. So I don't
Um,
know. Um,
Yeah.
that's tough. But
but
shout out
it's
to Minnesota for being right there at the middle of the pack. One of
they're
our 2
5
teams
and
with a perfect
2.
500.
I mean,
That's a good start.
it's important to
And
note that their differential from goals is only -5. So like
Yeah,
if you think about that's solid number. Like there
yeah,
are only a few teams that are like in the middle of the pack that have an even number. The Sabres
yep,
and the Toronto Maple Leafs are the only two teams that have a negative, or not a negative, but they have a perfectly even goals for and goals against.
yep,
Uh
which is crazy. I always think that's weird when
that's
that
another
happens.
team. Shout out to the hot or the it's a bit on and off right now, but
Yeah,
like the overall pretty solid start for the Buffalo Sabres. They're 6-1. They
mhm,
right now, if the season were to end, I believe they would make the playoffs.
yeah.
Oh no, they would be just short. They're technically 1 point out of a wild card spot right now. They split it with the Islanders and the Panthers.
Right.
Um, I know if the season were to end right now, the two wild card teams coming out of the Western Conference would be the Ducks and the Wild. So
Isn't that insane that if it were to end right now, that your team would make the playoffs after the shit show of a year you had last year?
the shit show of the last like 3 years. But
Yeah,
again, like I said, it's still early. So I
100%.
feel like what
It
we're
is.
seeing right now is we're seeing the teams like we're seeing the chemistry building. Uh,
For many teams, yeah.
yeah, for a lot of these teams that are
Yeah,
really trying to hone abilities. And it's very interesting to see the teams that are starting off poorly. Like,
yeah.
look at like Edmonton. Like we were saying before we started recording that Connor McDavid is already expressing frustrations with the team.
yeah.
Uh
But I mean, I'm gonna say it, I've called that for a while now.
yeah.
They have I mean, him and Leon Draisaitl are incredible.
Ryan Nugent,
But
Hopkins, Evander Kane all had over 100 points last year. You
they
know?
have not been able to do much with it.
No.
There's something missing in Edmonton. If you have players like that and you're not getting to a final run for the cup, you're
Yeah,
not,
And
right.
you know what I mean?
and
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's
what do you do
insane.
now with a backup goaltender? Because Stuart Skinner is your starter. He proved that
Mhm.
last year as a
Mhm.
rookie. The guy stood on his head to do everything possible to get Edmonton to the Stanley
Yeah.
Cup.
Right.
Jack Campbell didn't do shit last year.
Yeah.
They paid that man $25 million over the next 5 years to be the guy. He was supposed to be their guy. He came off of a great year with
Mhm.
Toronto. I know Toronto fan or Maple Leafs fans were a little unhappy when they didn't re-sign him in the off season, but I'm willing to bet that Maple Leafs fans are pretty happy right now because
Yeah.
he hasn't looked good. I mean, obviously they have Matt Murray, so there's a lot of unhappiness anyway. um, I just like it's so mind blowing to me, and
Yeah.
even look at
Yeah.
like the Sharks, like
Which we're gonna talk about that because what the hell is happening in San Jose?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
is this, like alluding to, this is just a poor start to the season, or is this more systemic than that?
Um, I
What do you
feel
think?
like a lot of this stems with their lack of scoring because
Yeah.
who did
Which
the majority of the scoring last
Erik
season for that?
Karlsson, who they
Erik
just traded
Karlsson.
away.
Um, I
I mean,
get
which is insane when your defensive man is putting up the, like, most points for your team, and you're like, "You know what? Fuck you."
Right.
yeah. Let's take a look at some stats here. Um, they are at a minus 43. They have scored all season 12 goals. Fun
Yeah.
fact, their last 2 games they got blown out, giving
Yeah,
up
bad.
10 goals apiece.
Yeah.
They gave up 10 against the Vancouver Canucks, which by the way, that was before that game, before they had scored their last goal, to keep it so they wasn't a shutout. That
Yep.
was the same amount of goals that they had scored all year. Then, to top it off, the Penguins came into town and beat their asses 10-2. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a
They are
long-term project.
struggling.
It's a
It
long-term project. It has to be.
Everyone
But
on their team has a minus right now. Plus or minuses, they're all in the minus. There's only a few that are like, -1, -2. There are so many that are like -12, -13, -14, -11. When your
they're
entire team is
Right.
fucking up left, right, and center, like, I what do you do as a coach then? Like, how
yeah.
do you fix
I
that?
I think it comes with the territory of moving a massive piece from your team. Granted, yes, I know that contractually they couldn't really afford to have anyone. And this team
Yeah,
has been in a rebuild for a little bit of time now. Obviously, longer the days of Thornton and Pavelski and
right.
Brent Burns when that team was on top of the world. Um, but
Which, I mean, sad to see Thornton finally retiring, but
yeah.
anyway.
yeah.
But I mean, like your main guy now should be Tomas Hertl.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got 7 points, but he's only scored 1 goal for it. Anthony
and he's
Duclair is
-12.
another one. Yeah. He's got a plus minus of -12. That is
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Luke
Same with
Kunin has
Anthony
20 minutes
Duclair.
in penalties, like,
Yeah.
that's insane. I
Mario
mean, we love it.
Ferraro has fucking 10
Right.
minutes of penalties. He's got a minus
Yeah.
13. Um, Philip Zadina has a minus 14. Like,
Mhm.
they got to figure
Yeah.
this out real fast
They really
Yeah.
because
do.
you cannot expect, like, yeah, I get it. All right, at this point, you're probably in the running for the draft. Like, I'm sure they see the writing on the wall and they understand. But like, you gotta at least have some fucking dignity.
Yeah.
Like, don't roll over. And
Yeah.
Right.
I'm talking about a team that I've historically hated because they're a rival of my team. But fuck, this is embarrassing, San
A
Jose. You have a
9-game losing
you have
streak?
a
Yeah.
history of success. Granted, yes, they are the only team in California to not have a cup, but still, they've had the history of great players and of being a great organization. And they
Right.
look like they don't even fucking belong in the NHL. They are
Right.
playing like a high school.
I
Yeah.
think if I'm a coach, we're having a goddamn kumbaya circle and figuring this shit out because has to be so much more than the technical skill. We know these players have the technical skill to be playing in the NHL. So they're
Right.
either not communicating or they're working a system that doesn't fit their style, or maybe they are shitting their pants literally every game. I don't know, but I would be getting everyone in a room and being like, "What the fuck is your
Yeah.
problem? And how are we going to
Yeah.
fix it? And I need solutions, and I need them
Yeah,
now."
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they need to do so, like, honestly, it is I can't imagine with statistics this bad. I can't imagine um as a coach, because I coach sports myself. Like, I can't
Yeah.
imagine just being like, well, we'll skate them harder, we'll do this, we'll do that, and it's like, no, there's something else here. We need to find that something else, and we need to fucking kill it
If I'm
because
Right.
David
there's
Quinn,
something there.
I'm keeping my options available for maybe finding a new job.
Yeah,
Because
you're gonna get fired, bro.
if I'm the GM of the Sharks, yeah, I'm aware that it's a rebuild, and I'm aware that it's going to be you've got to you've got to progress, but also you can't. This
Bro,
is the premier hockey league in the entire world for professional sport.
yeah,
This is the peak of hockey in the world.
right.
You cannot look like you don't belong. And I mean,
No,
this
Yeah.
is rich coming from me. Anaheim was bad last year, but at least
but you weren't
they
this
were
bad.
no, they were
No.
losing 1-goal games.
Yeah, you were
Like
competitive, you just
couldn't win or
couldn't
score.
win. Yeah,
Right. Right.
But I
Yeah, but
feel
you at
like
least look like you played hockey for a living. Like
and this is
most of the
fucking
time at least.
disgusting.
yeah,
It's like I'm disgusted with Edmonton as well because that team is way better than that. Like
oh
they
Yeah.
yeah.
are,
Then an
but
8-2
like
start or a 2-8
sort it the
start.
fuck out, San Jose.
Yeah,
Figure out, because
Yeah.
if you got to start making trades, if you got to start testing the water of your minor
yeah.
league system, seeing
Yeah.
what players
Yeah.
need to come up,
Something's
players come down, but they need to do something. Even if it's
Again,
wrong, just do something.
I think I would not be the least bit if they don't severely improve their game, I would not be surprised to see a coach dismissal midseason. I really
Fuck,
wouldn't.
I
yeah.
wouldn't be surprised to see a GM dismissal at this point by ownership.
Yeah, I and again, like, yeah, maybe start pulling up from your AHL because maybe they have it better together. But
Yeah.
again, you have to diagnose what the cancer in that locker room is because there is one.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
Yeah.
no reason your team is playing that shitty if there isn't something, like, wrong with them as a group, as
I mean,
individuals,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
the hardest part is they've used 3 different goaltenders right now, but like
Yeah,
your starting goaltender is Mackenzie Blackwood, who
right.
really hasn't had the best track record. I mean, he's
But they also have
notable
Kaapo
for
Kähkönen,
spending.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Love Cap.
Kaapo Kähkönen, yeah, he's technically like, dude, he's also really struggling. He's got a
he is.
4.3 goals against
Yeah.
average for
Yeah.
someone who has a bright future.
Yeah,
Because he's 27. I mean, I thought he was younger, but I mean, like when he played with the Wild, like
yeah,
he had solid, even up to like his first
Yeah.
this last like 11 games in 22 when he got traded.
right.
He had a 2.86 goals against average.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then you see the
Yeah.
fall off last year. 7 games, 0.85 goals against average, 883 save percentage. His save percentage is not super low compared to last year's, but that
no.
goals against average is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Krona's got a
Krona's
fucking
787.
7.7. He played 1 game and they
Yeah,
pulled him. Oh, that's the kid they put in against Pittsburgh. Because
yeah.
my dad was saying after a few they pulled Blackwood and put him in, and my dad was like, I felt bad for the kid because he got lit up.
He got lit
And
up, yeah.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh has
Oh yeah.
scorers, so
Yeah,
Right.
I don't know. Sorry for
yeah.
hogging this, but like I've had a lot of time to think about this, and this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's yeah. again, we didn't see anything this bad last year. We had bad teams, but it was fun. It was like, oh, ha ha ha, Anaheim sucks. Oh, ha ha ha, the Blue
Yeah.
Jackets suck. You know what I mean?
They weren't embarrassing.
But they weren't. Yeah, this like I don't know, what are their ticket sales like? Because I can't imagine if I'm a season ticket holder, I'm any bit
Oh,
pleased at the
I'd
Like,
moment.
be fucking asking for my
the
money back at
SAP
this
Center is
point.
Right?
gorgeous, but yeah, no, would you wanna go see that? Would you
Hell no.
They showed a
Nope.
banner, or they showed, it was all over Instagram, I don't know if it was anywhere else. They showed a kid on screen that he had a sign that said, "This is my first Sharks game," and underneath it had a title, or it had a little, like the score update. They were
Yeah.
losing 8-0. Could you
Yeah.
I
imagine
mean,
that being your
again,
first game ever?
they have
Your
a
team got
43
shit
point
stomped?
yeah, they have a 43-point differential in goals. So, like, I think they've had 12 goals and 55 goals scored against them. You're getting your shit rocked every game.
The only reason
Every
that they have a
fucking game.
fucking point in
Yeah.
general is because they lost in overtime. That's
Yeah.
the only reason that team even has a point.
Which, thank God that they did. Can you
Yeah.
imagine? That must be a record if they had lost outright 9 opening games. That's insane.
I mean, yeah, they technically have 2 losses in overtime.
Right,
Or
but
what'll count, unless they don't count, do they count shootout losses as an overtime loss?
I'm only seeing that they have the one, so that must have
Yeah.
been a preseason game that they had an
Oh,
overtime
yeah, no,
loss.
alright, so the shootout loss
Yeah.
is the overtime because I saw that they lost to LA in OT. Yeah, so second game of the season, you lose 2 to
Yeah,
1 in a shootout, and
right.
then after that, you're just starting to get your shit pushed in, like a 5
Mhm.
to 5-1 loss, 6 to nothing, um,
It's like the whole team has the yips or something,
10
I
to
don't know.
1, 10 to 2, like, that's not great, you guys.
Yeah.
No. Thank
I
God it's
mean,
none of
they
our teams though, right?
they are actually currently winning against, Philly. They
By
are
what, 1
winning
point?
1 to nothing, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
know
I
what?
guess it's
They were winning against the Caps for a moment too, and they still lost that game.
I mean,
Yeah.
Caps
It's
is not
not like
that
they
good.
haven't had leads in these games. That's what's
Mhm.
insane, is that they have had strong periods. And then I don't know if it's a lack of training or if they just get frazzled or what, but the wheels break off. The whole train stops.
Like, that game is
Right.
still early in the first period, but I mean,
Yeah,
even that, they're up 1-0, but the F they've played less than 10 minutes and the Flyers already have 4 shots on.
right.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying the Flyers are great, but, like, what are we
But they're
doing?
not,
They're
I
not
mean,
good. Like, they're good, they're decent, but
they're
they're not, like,
23rd in the league right now
yeah,
with 5,
like,
6, and 1. So,
comparative to where they were last year, but that's
yeah.
another team that went through getting rid of, Kevin Hayes and James Van Riemsdyk, and, like,
Yep.
removing older players that have long contracts.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, Tortorella is their coach. He'll figure it out. Torts
Yeah.
always figures it out. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'll
I don't
get
know.
off my soapbox, but I had a lot to say about that.
Right. Well, before we get into our injury reports and our fines and suspensions, I'm going to real quick blow through our stars of the week because we hadn't had a chance to do that. So going back to opening week, our first star was Austin Matthews, second star Elias Pettersson, third star Evgeny Malkin. For the week of October 22nd, it was first star Alex DeBrincat, second star Alexander Georgiev, third star Sam Reinhart. For the week ending October 29th, Tyler Toffoli was first, second was Jonas Johansson, third was Ryan Hartman. Give it up for Ryan, making a
Yeah.
list. The stars of the
You just
month
made
for
a list.
October, our first star was Jacques. I just love
Shoes?
saying it like that.
I do
Second
too.
star, again, Elias Pettersson. Third star, David Pasternak. And our rookie of the month, an Anaheim boy, and Lucas Dostal.
Lucas Dostal. Dude, I was
Yeah,
so fucking you guys, you can go back to last season's podcast. I would rip that fucking kid a new one. But I
yeah,
will say he has impressed me with his just improvement over the offseason.
yep.
He's looking really good.
Yeah.
So
And he
that
has to be
brings
because
us,
Gibson struggles. He's
yeah,
struggling right now. So
Well, that brings us into this week. So, well, the week ending that just ended a couple of days ago, ending November 5th. Our third star is another Anaheim boy, Mason McTavish, registered
Big Mac.
three goals and two shots in three outings. So it was points in all three of Anaheim's decisive goals to help the Ducks, who are 7-4-0,
One of
rally from a
those,
third period deficit, and
yeah, I
each
was to
as a
say, one
contest
of
to
those
extend their lead.
goals that he scored against the Penguins was a short-handed goal. The Penguins had
Yeah,
a
with
5 on
12.8
3,
seconds remaining in
12.8 seconds to
regulation.
go.
Yeah,
It was insane. You could feel the energy in my house shift.
yeah. He
Yeah.
also had the lone assist on Troy Terry's overtime winner in a 4-3 win over the Coyotes.
Roy Terry had a
And
hat trick
then,
in that game.
yeah, and then he got to end his week, he had the decisive goal, his 100th NHL game, actually, in a 2-0 third period deficit, or they overcame a 2-0 third period deficit for a 4-2
Yeah,
win
they
over the
scored
Golden
4
Knights,
unanswered in the third period against
which is
Vegas.
insane. And I mean, what a
Nice.
nice time to do that on your 100th game.
In your
It's a big
100th game,
milestone.
yeah.
So he is only 20 years old. So
Yeah, he's a
congrats to
second-year
Mason.
player.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Dude, Mac is a monster. Or third-year
Yeah.
player. Third-year player, I
I have no
think.
idea.
Yeah.
Um,
He got
our
drafted
second
with,
star is Cam Talbot, a goalie for the Los Angeles Kings. He turned aside 77 of the 80 shots he faced over 3 games for a 3-0
Uh,
or 3-0 record.
that's the
A
Cam
one
Talbot we
point
know.
goals against average, a .963 save percentage, and one shutout to backstop the Kings to a perfect week as they stretch their point streak to 6 games dating back to October 24th. He made 29 saves, including 24 across the second and third periods, and a 4-1 win against the Toronto Maple Leafs. He also defeated two of his former teams, denying 24 out of 26 shots in a 3-2 victory over the Sens, and earning his 29th career shutout and first with LA, with another 24 saves and a 5-0 triumph over the Philly Flyers.
Yeah.
He's 36 years old. He just signed with the Kings in July, and he shares the league lead with 6 wins and ranks fourth overall with 229 saves through 9 total appearances this season. So that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
He immediately
nice.
looks so much better than he did with Ottawa last year. Like, this is the
Yeah,
Cam Talbot we all know and love. Yes, he's getting older, but he clearly can still get it done.
he's still, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love him.
Our first star this week is Quinn Hughes. So one of the Hughes brothers that we mentioned earlier, who are putting up
Yeah.
more points collectively than in the entire San Jose team. He actually led the NHL with 7 assists and 1 goal in the course of 3 games. Again, helping the Canucks to get a perfect week this past week, which extended their point streak to 7 games consecutively. He registered his 14th career 3 assist performance, which is an incredible number
Yeah.
to have done that many times, and he's relatively young. And second of the season so far, which again, what a start for this kid.
Yeah.
Uh, they beat the Nashville Preds 5-2. He then got 1 goal and 4 assists and a 10-1 triumph over the San Jose Sharks. Whew, that hurts. That was its 8th double-digit goal total in franchise history, and its first double-digit goal total since March 1st of 1992 when they played Calgary,
That's
which is
crazy.
insane that it's been that long for them to get into double digits. I mean, not really.
Right.
It's not super common, but still. So in doing so, he joined Jeff Brown as the second defenseman in Canucks history to record a 5-point game and become the first blue liner from any team with such a performance since January 7th of 2023. And that was Rasmus Dahlin with Buffalo at the time that last had that. He finished
Yeah.
the week with 25 minutes of ice time and a +1 rating in a 2-0 win versus the Dallas Stars. The 24-year-old is the 7th overall pick from the 2018 draft, paces defenseman with 4 goals and 12 assists, and leads the entire league, forwards and blue liners, with a +14 rating through 11 total appearances this season. Only 10 defensemen in NHL history have accumulated more points than Hughes through their first 294 career games, a list that is topped by Bobby Orr.
Who is widely regarded as one of the greatest defensemen of all time, if not the
Yeah.
Yeah.
greatest defenseman of all time.
Yeah. So shout out to Quinn Hughes, killing it this week, carrying on. I mean, the Hugheses have been all over our stars of the week
The
list.
Hugheses are
The
here to
Hugheses.
stay.
Yeah, they absolutely are. So that is just a quick stars of the week / month to get us all updated, and we'll continue with that going forward.
Right.
And now let's hear about some of our fines and suspensions and our
Oh
injuries.
Lord, yeah, and there are a lot.
Yeah,
As far as
I
fines
I know.
go, I do want to just add there was an update on the Rasmus Anderson suspension. He did appeal it. Um,
Mm,
the hearing was conducted on October 23rd, where the commissioner upheld the original 4-game suspension. And being that the suspension was fewer than 6 games per the collective bargaining agreement, that does make the decision final and binding, not subject to review. So he can no longer try anything further.
yeah.
And then we already talked about Shane Pinto. And then Connor Clifton from the Buffalo Sabres was suspended for 2 games for an illegal check to the head of Nico Hischier.
Hischier.
He's here.
Hischier? Yeah. What you guys said.
Mhm.
That does sacrifice $34,722.22 of his salary for those 2
Wow.
games. That is like what I make in a year. Let me just point out.
Right? And he didn't even miss that much work for it either. It's crazy.
Yeah, 2 games.
Yeah.
Putting me to shame. Anyway, and then October 30th, Charlie McAvoy from the Bruins, was suspended for 4 games for an illegal check to the head of Oliver Ekman Larson, which sacrifices $197,916.67 of his salary.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a brutal elbow. Like you should.
It was.
Yeah,
It was 100% the right call to suspend him.
Yeah.
PK Subban lit him up.
Yeah.
Did he?
Lit him
Good.
up. He goes, listen, I love
Um,
McAvoy play. I love watching him play. He goes, but even if this wasn't intentional, you need to be suspended for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and especially, he's an alternate captain. He's been in the league a
Mhm.
while. Like, he knows better than to pull that kind of
Yeah,
shit.
don't do that.
Right.
And then, Andrew Magnapane?
Non-Japan.
Manji, yeah.
Yeah.
From the Flames, was suspended for just 1 game for cross-checking Jared McCann.
That was also pretty
from
brutal.
the
Yeah.
Penguins. Looks like
I
that
think
No,
sacrifices.
he plays for the
the-
Kraken.
He just got traded to the
Oh, he
Kraken
He just
recently.
got traded. Okay, yeah, his picture is still with the Penguins.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's been playing.
Get up with it. But that sacrifices $30,208.33 of his salary.
Yep.
And then for fines, the Ottawa Senators did get fined. Well, in lieu of the cash fine, they have to forfeit their first-round draft pick in either the 2024, 25, or 26 draft.
Mm-hmm.
The determination as to which pick will be forfeited will be made by Ottawa within 24 hours of the conclusion of the draft lottery for that year. But that was for the failure to disclose details pertaining to a player contract, which I'm sure everybody heard more details about that. But that was way back in 2021, so it was just coming to light now.
Yeah.
And then November 4th, Matthew Barzal from the Islanders was fined $5,000 for high-sticking Tony DeAngelo. Or a knee strike? No, high-sticking. Why did that?
I think it was a high stick.
Oh, I accidentally. Okay, I was like, my mouse. You know how it pops up with like the definition of it.
Oh yeah.
I thought I was still down on him, but it was the Garnet Hathaway one. So
I believe the fine in lieu of a fine, they're giving up a draft pick for the Sens. That investigation was not announced to anybody. They just did it and then reported on it. And the Senators were like, "We didn't know that was happening." But okay.
Oh, awesome!
That was the report that I saw.
Love that for them.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it took them by surprise as well. So.
Well, at least
But again,
you
it had
weren't
to do with
alone in that
trades and
surprise.
stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then for the injury report, for Anaheim, we have Brock McKinnon is out with a lower body injury. He is expected to be out until at least November 10th. Jamie Draisaitl, also lower body expected. Drysdale, sorry. I said that and I was like, Draisaitl doesn't play for anyway.
That doesn't make any sense.
Drysdale is expected to be out until at least November 14th. And then we still have Lundstrom and Chase DeLeo. For Arizona, we have Jason Zucker, still expected to be out until at least November 11th with that lower body injury. And then that's the only new-ish one. For Boston, we have Derek Forbort. That's just a fun name to say. Forbort. He is out with a lower body injury. He is listed as day-to-day. Jacob Luco or Jakob. I never know when it's with a K in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is out with a face injury. Expected to be out until at least November 9th. Matt Grzelcyk is out with an upper body injury. Expected to be out until at least November 25th. And Milian Lukic, ankle injury, expected to be out until November 18th.
Hey, Bruins fans, how's Milan Lucic working out for you?
Milan, yeah. Right?
They were all so happy to get him back. He's fucking hurt.
Ain't
for
that always
Buffalo,
the way?
Right. For Buffalo, we have Eric Comrie out with a lower body injury till at least the 14th of this month. Brandon Biro out, or Biro, upper body injury expected to be out until at least November 11th. Dylan Cousins out with an upper body injury and expected to be out until at least the 10th. Mateus Samuelson out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 11th. Zach Benson out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 17th. And Jack Quinn out with an Achilles injury, expected to be out until at least November 14th. For Calgary, we just still have Jacob Peltier, or Peltier, however you pronounce it. That was aggressive. I apologize. For Carolina, we have Frederick Anderson out with an illness.
No,
not syphilis bus.
That was reported as he had blood clotting issues.
Oh,
yeah, that was something I found out about yesterday.
Wow. Yeah.
So he's going to be missing time.
Something you want to look at. Because it does say expected to be out until at least December 2nd.
Yeah,
so they are definitely doing significant testing and stuff. Yeah, you don't want bleeding issues in hockey.
That popped up on TV yesterday, and I didn't get a chance. So I had to like Google it and check, and that's that's
interesting,
pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hopefully they can figure that out.
Yeah, Freddie's a good guy.
And then we have Brett Pesce.
Yeah,
Pesce. Brett Pesce out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 10th. For Chicago, we have Colin Blackwell out with a groin injury. Could be back as soon as November 9th. For Colorado, we have Pavel Francouz out with a groin injury. Wasn't he just out with something else, too?
He was.
He was. Expected to be out until at least December 2nd. So he came back for like a game.
And then,
maybe,
He played this year. That's
he must have, because I know it wasn't a groin injury before.
No. He might have gotten back on the ice and then done something.
Well, or even skated. In a practice.
Yeah, like a practice.
Or something.
Yeah.
No, he has. It's been a groin injury.
Oh, really?
I'm going back.
It's been a groin injury the whole time.
It's all groin injury, yeah.
Oh. Maybe we just
interesting. So then they just updated it on the 7th.
I think it's because we had too much fun saying his name.
Probably.
Right.
Pavel Francouz.
That's you. Not me, not ever. We have Fredrik Olofsson, expected to be out until at least November 9th with an upper body injury. For Columbus, we still have Patrick Laine, or Laine,
yeah.
Laine.
Yes.
I thought you were going to sneeze. I was like, where is it?
My body couldn't figure out which one it was.
What is happening?
Like, we're going to do everything all at once. In Dallas, we have Radek Faska
That's a cool
Sure.
name.
Yeah. That is
and
a
Matt
cool name.
Duchesne, both out with upper body injuries, both listed as day to day.
So those definitely happened tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. For Detroit, we have Matt Luff out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least November 9th. For Edmonton, we have Connor Brown out with an undisclosed.
Undisclosed.
He is listed as day to day, and Mateus Janmark will say.
Yeah, that's actually yep. You got it.
See, I know something sometimes.
It's all the
with
European
a shoulder
names.
injury with day to day.
So the hardest ones.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
For Florida, we have Sam Bennett out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 14th. Aaron Ekblad, still out with that shoulder injury, expected to be out until at least November 22nd now. Brandon Montour out with a shoulder injury as well, expected to be out until at least November 20th. And Jonah Godovich, thank you.
Godovich.
Same difference.
Same dish.
Jonah G. He is out until at least November 10th with an upper body injury.
Yeah.
For LA, we still have Victor Arvidsson, which we talked about last time with that back injury, but he could be back as soon as tomorrow.
Ooh.
According to this. For Minnesota, we still have Freddie Gaudreau out with a upper body injury, could be back as soon as the 9th, as is our Cap, who is thankfully skating finally.
Oh, good.
Jared Spurgeon could be back as soon as the 9th, and same with Alex Golgoski, but last I heard he broke his foot. I'd be surprised if he is back this week.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. For Montreal, we have Chris Weidman out until at least November 14th with a back injury. Raphael Harvey Pinard out with a lower body injury.
That is
right?
a great name.
Yeah. Expected to be out until at least November 9th. David Savard out with a hand injury. Expected to be out until at least December 7th. He is on IR as of now. And then we still have Kirby Dock and Carey Price out as well. For Nashville, we have Ryan McDonough. Expected to be out until at least November 9th with a lower body injury. Cody Glass. What a great name for a hockey player.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Out with a lower body injury, could be back as soon as November 14th. And then Luke Shen is still out as well. For New Jersey, our dear friend Jacuz is out until at least November 14th with a shoulder injury that happened yesterday. Nico Hischier. He's sure. Whatever. And he's out with an upper body injury after getting that hit on him. Could be back as soon as November 10th, as is Colin Miller could be back November 10th as well. He is out with a lower body injury, and Thomas Nosek could be back again the 10th as well with a lower body injury as well. For the Islanders, we have Bo Horvat out with a lower body injury. Expected to be out until at least the 9th, so hopefully not too long.
Yeah.
Oh no, I gotta look at my fantasy hockey team. For the Rangers, we have Igor Shesterkin. I can never say his name correctly, although I know it. My brain just can't do all of those letters. Out with a lower body injury. Expected to be out until at least November 9th, so maybe my team will be okay. And then Philip Cheadle.
Like Don Cheadle.
Like Don Cheadle is what was in my brain, and then she went Cheadle. He was out with a upper body injury, expected to be out until at least November 12th. And Adam Fox is out with a lower body injury, Expected to be out until at least November 29th. That's kind of a nasty one. For Ottawa, we have Ridley Greig. He is out until at least the 24th with a lower body injury. Two people out with concussions, Eric Brandstrom and Artem Zub, both have concussions. Eric is expected to be out until at least November 9th, and Artem is listed as day-to-day. Mark Kaslick is out with an ankle injury till at least December 1st, as is Thomas Chabot. Out with a hand injury, expected to be out as well till December 1st. For Philly, one of my favorite names of all time,
Yes.
Rasmus Ristolainen, which I still
Gotta
didn't
love
say
me
correctly.
some Rasmus Ristolainen.
Yeah,
That is one of the best names in hockey.
It's
Yeah.
a great name.
Right up
He
there
is
with
out with an
Zemgus.
undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least November 19th. Carter Hart is out with an abdominal injury or illness. I don't know which one it is. Expected to be out until at least November 11th. Felix Sandstrom is out with an upper body injury. Could be back as soon as November 11th as well. Mark Stahl out with an upper body injury. What will his brothers do without him?
All the ones that are
expected to
still
be-
playing.
Yeah, the two other ones that are still, well, at least seemingly not hurt.
Yeah.
Expected to be out until at least November 18th. And Ryan Ellis is still out with that back injury. And for Pittsburgh, only one. No, that's a lie. These are all new. John Ludwig is out with a concussion. Could be back as soon as November 11th. Will Butcher,
Great name.
still out with that undisclosed injury. Could be back as soon as November 14th, which is the update on him. And Alex Nedeljkovic, out with a lower body injury,
Nedeljkovic.
expected to be out until November 19th. I'm just ignoring Chris now with his corrections. For San Jose, we have Matt Benning out with an undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least November 9th. Logan Couture, out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until the 14th of November. And Alexander Barbanoff. That just always makes me think of Pirates of the Caribbean, Barbosa. Anyway, he is out with a finger injury, expected to be out until December 5th. For Seattle, we have Andre
Burakovsky.
Yes. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't.
Yeah,
He is out with an upper body injury, expected to be out until at least December 2nd. And then Brandon Nevis still listed as out too, but could be back as soon as this week. Next week. That's a lie. Next week. For St. Louis, we have Anton Malmstrom and Josh Jacobs, both out with undisclosed injuries, and both out until at least November 30th.
Oh, wow.
And both defensemen.
And both
Suspicious.
defensemen.
F and
Very
chat.
suspicious. I think we know what bus they were taking.
Beep,
Yeah,
beep.
100%.
For Tampa Bay, we have Connor Sherry out with an upper body injury. He is just listed as day-to-day. Andre Vasilevsky, I can't do that one today either.
Vasilevsky.
He is out with that back injury, expected to be out until at least November 24th. And Logan Brown, undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least November 22nd. For Toronto, we have Jake McCabe, listed as day-to-day with that groin injury. Timothy Liljegren, sure, that's a lot of
Liljegren,
letters.
I think.
Liljegren.
Yeah, Liljegren, sure.
Liljegren.
He is out with an ankle injury, expected to be out until at least November 30th. Connor Timmons out with a lower body injury, expected to be out until at least November 11th. And then still Mr. Matt Murray and Jake Muzzin for their team as well. For Vancouver, we have Teddy Bluger out with an angle. Yeah, can't even say ankle anymore. Ankle injury. He is listed as day-to-day. Guillaume, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Brisbane.
It's pronounced
Still want to say
Guillaume.
Yeah, that's still how I want to say it.
But you said it right, Guillaume.
He is out with that undisclosed injury. Expect to be out until at least November 9th. And then Tucker Pullman is still out as well. For Las Vegas, we have Nicholas Waugh. Undisclosed injury. Expect to be out until at least November 10th. As is Zach Whitecloud. He is out with an upper body injury, though, but could be back by the 10th. Nicholas Haig? Yeah. He is out with a lower body injury. He is listed as day-to-day. Robin Leonard is still out, but that was updated. Could be out until at least January 1st. So I think that is at least the update there.
Yeah, that's a big update.
As we know, though, he missed all of last season too. So, and then Isaiah Seville, undisclosed injury, expected to be out until at least November 14th. For Washington, we have Max Pacioretty out with that Achilles injury. He could be back though as soon as November 27th, which is an
He has
update
started
on him.
skating with the
Has he?
team.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yevgeny Kuznetsov, he is out with an illness, listed as day-to-day. Nicholas Backstrom updated. Unfortunately, out until at least September 18th. So he will be out the rest of the season with that hip injury, which is a huge.
Yeah, so we didn't even talk about that
to
either.
The Caps. Yeah.
No, yeah. He very unexpectedly announced to the team that he was stepping away from hockey for an undetermined amount of time as he focuses on getting his health back in order and deciding what he wants to do with his career. It was really tough for the team. He made the decision with his coaches, with his family, and then told the team before holding a press conference. And from all the reports, everyone was shocked, understanding, but not really sure where to go next with that. So
right. Yeah, that's a big loss to the team.
It's a big loss for us.
Joel Edmondson, with that hand injury, expected to be out until at least November 18th. Nick Dowd, out with an upper body injury, could be back as soon as the 18th as well. And Trevor Van Rimsdyk, whatever his name is, he is still day-to-day with a lower body injury. And Winnipeg still just has Gabriel Velarde. Could be back at the end of this month with that knee injury. So that is the updates on the injuries. This seems to be the time of year like we're ramping up to, the couple of months where we tend to get a lot of injuries back and forth.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you, Danger. That was very.
Indeed, yes,
you're very welcome.
We moved through that fast.
Indeed.
I try sometimes.
Well, our next segment is our NHL Player of the Week. This one, we're kind of going to go a little off script for, and Chris will explain who that is and why, and we'll have a small discussion as some of the resulting stuff from that.
Obviously, we missed last week, so we didn't get to talk about the tragic passing of Adam Johnson. For those that aren't aware, he was playing overseas in England, and there was an accident to where his throat was cut and he was killed. It's a sad reality that we tend to forget. These sorts of things happened. Reminded last year with Evander Kane, his wrist was cut open, severing a main artery. Thankfully, he was okay. Came back a couple months later. This has happened a couple times in the NHL. A couple goalies have had their throat cut. They've ultimately survived. Fortunately, Adam didn't. This has sparred conversations about player safety, but I felt it was only fitting that we drop the obscure NHL part and we just have a player of the week. And that player is Adam Johnson, man. Didn't have a big stint in the NHL, but 13 games he played with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He had a
Minnesota boy too.
Yeah, Minnesota boy. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he went to college out in Minnesota too.
He did.
University of Minnesota Duluth, where he played
he
2
was
seasons.
Raised, I think, in Hibbing.
Yeah,
Hibbing over the weekend. Just had
born in Grand Rapids.
He was born in Grand Rapids. I thought you said Coon Rapids for a second.
No, Grand Rapids.
Crazy that those are both places in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Right. But
But
yeah.
yeah, 13 games in the NHL, 1 goal, 3
Mhm.
assists, 2 penalty minutes. So my man got all the stats in.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone that we want to see at least.
Oh yeah.
Right?
He did spend a lot of time in the AHL. I don't exactly have those numbers calculated fully for you right now, but listen, don't take for granted players you watch, and don't
Mhm.
take for granted the the lack of danger that you don't like
Mhm.
really think about when you watch that. It's a very dangerous game. And accidents do happen, and player safety doesn't really get brought up until these accidents happen.
Right.
Uh, I mean, earlier already this season, I can't remember who it was, but a player got uh the back of his skate stabbed into his eye in the
Mhm.
NHL. Uh, like it happens, and it's scary, but this is sparking so many other things. But 29 years old, taken too soon. But he
Yeah.
died doing what he
Yeah.
loved. You know.
We saw some really touching tributes, I think, both in the AHL leagues that he played in. I know the Hershey Bears
Mhm.
played the Scranton or the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, the baby Penguins as we call them, and they had a very touching moment of silence, as well as a video package with that to honor him. I know that the Penguins was it against
It
Anaheim?
was against Anaheim. Yep.
Yeah, they also had a moment for him. We've seen it in several places, and I believe he also just had a memorial service that had thousands in
Yeah.
attendance recently as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is something that
No, I mean,
we luckily don't see often. We don't have to have many moments of silence at games,
right.
but
Right.
I was happy to see it done so well
Well,
at the games it was done at.
and it even branched over to other sports like
Hmm.
soccer. Nottingham Forest FC did a very special tribute before the match.
Yeah, I heard about that.
They even put out specialty jerseys, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
The Nottingham Panthers, which is where he played, obviously this season.
Mhm.
They had a really nice memorial. The fans rallied around. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
And we have seen since then many players have started wearing neck gear. In the
Mhm.
league, we didn't have a lot of players that wore it before. I
yeah,
know in the ECHL, it is mandatory for junior players to wear neck gear, but that protection falls away when you get into the NHL. And I know Gary Bettman has had a meeting with the NHLPA to discuss whether or not they should start mandating that and start rolling it out. And I think we will see it. Something we've seen as well, obviously from my team, Timothy Oshie has a company called War Road. It's run out of Minnesota.
Timothy
Um,
Oshie.
Timothy
Yep. Yep.
Oshie. Um, so TJ runs War Road. He started getting hundreds of texts following the incident asking
Yeah.
if he can hook, some of his fellow NHLers up with gear. Lots of concerned parents as well. Their orders skyrocketed, and they made a commitment to not reduce the quality just to get it out quickly because the most important thing is the safety of the
Safety.
players.
Yeah.
He
Right.
started wearing it that first game that they had after the passing of Adam. He wore a neck protector, and when asked after the game, he was like, "Listen, we're grown men, and at this point, I have a family, and I want to be around for them. So if it means that I
Yeah.
wear
Yep.
an extra piece, I wear an extra piece. We're all grown
Right.
men. We can make our own decisions on that."
Well, that's the thing,
Right.
right? Is like I think the best person to listen to on this matter that I've heard so far was Wayne Gretzky. He
Mhm.
said, "I don't understand why we don't because when you start out as a youth, and this is true, you're wearing the full visor,
The
wearing
full bubble,
neck
yeah.
protection, you wearing everything. He's like, I don't understand why we're removing stuff. He said it was the same thing when the league mandated visors, the iTech
Mhm.
visors.
Mhm.
Obviously, there's multiple companies that make them now. Um,
Yeah.
but iTech was the big one when they first really became mandatory. Is obviously people were grandfathered in to wear. You
Mhm.
didn't have to wear them. That, but he made the point of you go your entire youth career with
Mhm.
these pieces.
With these
Just don't
protections.
just don't take them off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You're already used to it, so just don't take them off.
Yeah.
But, you know, we have seen a ton more players start wearing them, and so I think that that's a good step forward. I think we're gonna see I think so often in sports, because I see it in lacrosse too, where they put on or they take off gear,
Yeah.
protective gear because they think it looks cooler, they think it makes them
Mhm.
seem tougher, and there
And that
is such a
disappears in the pros because in the
yeah,
pros there's such even the players in the professional level of lacrosse have absolutely abandoned this cool look, and these
Mhm.
guys, they want to have a long career. So,
exactly.
Right.
And
you
I
know,
think sports need to get back to that is making sure that, you are able to go home to your kids at night and
yeah,
pick them up and play with them. I know that that's something that was really hard for John Carlson when he had that really scary hit last year,
yeah,
Mhm.
for Carl Hagelin when he was struggling with his eye issues as well. We've seen players, I mean, Evander Kane as well, we've seen him struggle with his
Mhm.
wrist injury, and anything we can do to prevent that, I think we should be doing, and we should be encouraging as fans, on the sidelines as well.
I've
Right.
I've heard some voices online that I don't think are close to the game, but they've said, well, if you just ban contact, it's like, okay,
I
Well,
don't
those
think
are
you
the
yeah, I
people
mean,
understand.
those are the people
yeah,
that
yeah, you
don't
clearly don't watch
understand.
hockey.
If
Like,
you're running
If
around
you
on knives, like, there shit
yeah,
happens.
But if you
It's not like it was
take the
intentional what happened to
physicality
Adam.
away,
right.
you lose the sport. That is what the
Yeah.
sport is built on. It is for
But
fucking tough
even
players.
But even then, we can't negate the fact that these kinds of things happen
Yeah,
when there isn't physicality
yeah.
present.
You
Ice
Yeah.
deteriorates over the course of a period, over the course of
yeah,
a full game.
yeah.
You see guys lose their shit all
They
the
just
time.
fall. Yeah.
They just fall. And sometimes they do it in the vicinity of other players, and it's a risk no matter what. Again, you see it too in figure skating. That is a non contact sport. But do you know how many people get nicked with blades?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not
And
yeah.
those are
zero.
sharper.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, people who wanna get rid of contact aren't watching hockey, and
Right.
And
either way,
if they are, they need to
promote the
stop because it's
protections
not, yeah.
instead.
Right.
That's the easier
If
solution.
you are someone
Right.
who does want physicality removed and you watch hockey, you need to stop watching hockey because you understand the sport. And I
Yeah,
mean, that
Right.
sounds harsh, but that's the truth.
yeah,
Um,
Right.
it's a big boy game.
right.
Like, I respect if parents don't want their kids to play hockey after this. I get it.
Yeah.
Or have
I get it.
concerns about it,
Or
yeah,
have
absolutely.
concerns. And by that, I say there are plenty of other sports out there that are just as good
Right,
that don't have that problem. But
yeah,
Right.
just know, you know what you're signing up for.
yeah,
And this is an unfortunate reality that we're reminded of. Um,
Mhm.
I'm a big advocate for player safety, and I'd love to see the league mandate it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Um, at least some sort of neck protection.
And there's
Uh,
more than
Right.
one company out there. If you don't wanna support War Road, don't.
there's
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many
Bauer
other ones,
creates it, CCM has
Yeah.
it, like,
Yeah.
there are options out there.
and the technology
Just
is
look
only
at
Yeah.
getting
him.
better.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
it's only getting better. I think right now is the best time. I would say right now is one of the safest because of the growth of technology we've seen, understanding player injuries, understanding player
right,
safety, being able to negate that stuff. I think that's such a big deal.
yeah,
Mhm.
But again, this is the scariest part of.
yeah,
Right. Well, and it's one of those where it's unfortunate, every sport has its risk.
Mhm.
mhm,
Um, but what we can do is appreciate that, we take tragedies like this and learn from it. I mean,
yeah,
NASCAR did it when Dale Earnhardt died. Like,
Yes, that
I
is
mean,
a
you
very good
you have
point.
to take these kind of one in a million injuries, um and it's less than that, but to the severity of this,
Yeah, it just doesn't
is
happen that
really
often.
once in a
But I mean, if we can take a
few
1 in a
100,000.
million and make it a 1
Right.
in 5,000,000 by just wearing
Yeah.
neck
Right.
protection, great.
Right.
And the other thing that
Exactly.
irritates me is
Exactly.
people are like, "Oh, was this intentional?" Like, are you
No.
fucking
No.
kidding me right
No.
No
now?
player would ever do
Really?
that.
No.
That's
No.
liter that's like that's
No.
That's
there's a lot of
whole
hits
other
and things that
conversation.
are intentional in hockey, but
Yeah.
No one's
I've
trying to intentionally
never,
cut somebody. Like, what the
No.
yeah,
fuck?
I've never
Come
seen
on.
somebody use their skates intentionally to hurt somebody.
That
Yeah.
is like
You know,
murder, is what
That
that
Right.
would
is.
be
That
classified
is
as murder.
legitimately
Yeah,
hurting
yeah.
someone
Yeah.
with a weapon.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never seen or heard of that. So,
Yeah.
no.
but yeah, it's thankful that, you know, I'm thankful that the technology was there and products
Yeah.
were there to be able to be created. I mean, TJ, of course, like had people asking for his company and he like jumped right on it. But, you know, these other products were out there prior to this.
Yeah.
But the fact that, you know, and then TJ right away wore it in
Yeah.
like his game. You know, you're
He
starting to
brought it
see
for a
other
bunch of his
players pick.
teammates too.
Yeah,
Wilson
yeah,
wore it as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so hopefully it's just something that, you know, we won't see
Yeah.
further
I mean, and
instances of it. But
a good this is a good and like a good like example, and like you mentioned the death of Dale Earnhardt in 2001.
yeah,
Do you know how many deaths in NASCAR there have been since 2001?
I
Zero.
haven't
well,
heard of any. Yeah.
look
Zero.
at
I've
look at
seen there have been bad wrecks like this
yeah,
past
Right.
year at Talladega. Ryan Preece flipped 12 times.
Oh
yeah,
God.
I have not seen a wreck like that in 20 years.
Right.
yeah,
Ryan Newman
Since
in
Dale.
2020 flipped
yeah.
in the air
Ryan
and got
Newman's
hit
was
in the like
I
in the window,
yeah,
the driver's side window at 200 miles an hour because he was
yeah,
flying through the air and someone went underneath of him. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
freak accidents and things like that happen.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
it's sad to
It's just
say that if it
unfortunate.
weren't for the death of Dale Earnhardt Sr.,
Yeah, yeah,
NASCAR wouldn't have changed.
Yeah.
And I
right.
feel like this is a good learning moment
It's a yeah.
that we
Yeah.
this is a
Well,
freak
and
accident. But
even
yes, we
yeah.
can take steps to prevent it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's like look at just the institution, for lack of a better word, of helmets in the NHL.
Yeah.
That was something that happened gradually over time as people learn more and more about head
And people
injuries
fought
and
that too.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I remember in my lifetime going to games to where they weren't required, you know, or
Yeah.
people were grandfathered in,
Right.
to where they didn't have to wear them. To now, where you know you're pretty
If
much
it
not
falls off,
allowed.
you got to get off the ice ASAP.
Right? Yeah,
1979 is when
yeah,
they were mandated the helmets,
yeah,
and
Yeah.
it was the players were grandfathered in
Yeah.
yeah,
that they were
yeah,
okay, and that lasted up until the early 90s, mid 90s.
yeah,
We still had a couple players that
yeah.
still were not wearing helmets.
Right.
Dumbasses.
And
Yes.
which is just that to me is insanity. You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
just with the knowledge that is out there.
The speed at which
It,
those pucks are
but at
coming,
the
why
right,
wouldn't you?
yeah. I mean, I was about to equate it to like wearing a helmet when you ride a bike, which I typically don't do, but I also don't ride a bike that often. But it's not
Yeah.
it's almost not comparable because
It's like
the
not wearing a helmet
speed
while
isn't
riding a
there.
motorcycle. Like we're not
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah,
we're talking
exactly.
about a motorcycle on like
Right.
Interstate 95, where
Yeah,
you're going 80
yeah.
miles an
That's
hour.
a much better analogy. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's you know, so I'm at least thankful that we live in a world to where this was something that was able to have a solution really remarkably quickly, all things
Oh yeah.
considered. Um, it's horrible that it had to happen. But yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
been hard to see everything because you know, obviously, with him being from Minnesota and for the state of hockey, like it
Right.
obviously is a huge thing. But with him
And he was
just being from here,
29. Like he
Yeah.
was
yeah,
our age.
29.
Yeah.
Well,
I just,
yeah,
our
10 years
condolences
ago.
to
Well,
Well, our age is in
but
like BMI.
yeah.
I'll take it. I mean,
Yeah, we'll
I'll
include you in it.
take being looped into that. No, but yeah, it's just it was
Yeah.
tragic. But yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, our
Yeah, our
condolences to
condolences
him
Obviously.
to
and his
his
family.
family, and also to his team, the teammates that were on the ice with him that night, and the team that he was playing against. I cannot
Yeah,
imagine how
and
scary and traumatic that must have been for them.
Yeah.
So our condolences
yeah,
to them as well. And yeah, that's such a bummer to end the night on.
No,
So,
but you
yeah,
know
it
what?
really is.
but
It was
it
an
was
important
necessary.
It needs to be,
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah, it needed to be said. So
absolutely. So, well, you guys, that kind of brings us to an end for tonight. Um, If you have a question of the week that you want us to answer, be sure to hit us up on all of our socials. Either drop it in the comments of wherever you're watching or listening to us.
Mhm.
We would love to answer some questions for y'all. And if not, we'll just continue making them up how we see fit.
If you guys are
Right.
watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification
That
Yeah.
bell.
too.
If you guys are listening to us audio on any podcast platforms, give us a rating. Give us a rating. Leave us a
It
review.
helps.
Love to hear you guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, get any kind of
absolutely.
feedback.
Oh yeah.
We also do have a Discord if you want to join our Discord. We have a sports room where we do talk about mostly hockey, but sometimes other
Yeah.
things.
And we do tend to every once in a while try to get together and just watch games together. So if that's something you guys
Yeah.
are interested in us doing, you can
Yeah.
feel free to join and come hang out with us.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you.
Absolutely.
With that, we are going to bid you good night, and we'll see you mother puckers in the face-off circle next week.